Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Clinton Howell Team's Weekly Market Update. I'm your host, Clinton Howell, broker with Remax, Escarpment Realty. And what the Howell is going on? Let's get into it. So there's a lot to talk about right now. So much going on. We're seeing doom and gloom headlines. One of the headlines I saw in the recent days was GTA home sales hits 45-year low and 100,000 construction jobs at risk. These are pretty serious headlines. We're dealing with right now with an economic uncertainty across the board. So much going on. But let me tell you something. You know what? Crisis equals two things: danger plus opportunity. And there's so much opportunity right now. Let's think about this for a minute. If we go back to the peak of the real estate market in 2022, interest rates, variable rates were around 2.5%. So similar to where they are now, really. Maybe they were slightly lower than they are now, but they're not that different. But prices are down in the Halton area anyways, 32%. So essentially that means they were 40% higher in 2022. So you can actually buy properties for far less payment than you could in 2022. So, even though sales volumes overall are down, we keep hearing all the doom and gloom headlines because that's what sells the news. One thing that's really, really interesting, Conrad Zarini, our broker of record, broker owner, touched on this in one of his recent posts, and this is really mind-blowing. But if you look at the average price point in the Halton area, and you look at the sales volumes of the average price point compared to 2022, sales volumes are actually up at that average price point by 180%. So that's kind of mind-blowing. Now, it's a different story in Hamilton. Sales are actually down in Hamilton, but in terms of Halton, this is a huge story. So affordability has made a huge difference. People are snapping up properties and taking advantage, and there's huge upside. If you look at all the peak to trough to peak, so basically cycles, history repeats itself. If you look at the cycles of all the peaks and troughs that have happened, in the recent 40 years or so, generally speaking, these cycles go from peak to trough and back to peak. 10 to 12 years is kind of the time frame. So we've already been 4 years since the peak, and with technology how it is and communication, it is likely that our current cycle is going to be a shorter cycle. So there's very good reasoning historically and in terms of the activity we're seeing to feel that we are at or very close to bottom of the current market. And it's a great opportunity to upgrade properties right now because the delta is smaller. It's a great opportunity for first-time buyers to get in. The best time to buy real estate is 5 years ago, and the second best time is right now. And in this case, you'd be better off actually buying it right now than you were 5 years ago. So kind of a changing the rules. Now, RBC economics report here. We had the Bank of Canada. They held their overnight policy rate at 2.25. So at its first meeting in 2026, Bank of Canada held the overnight rate as expected and reiterated the view that the level of policy rate remains appropriate at the bottom of the neutral range. So at the bottom of the neutral range, that means it's neutral. They're not trying to stimulate, not trying to bring things down. They're just kind of status quo right now. There's so much uncertainty in the economic policies. Inflation's at bay. GDP is kind of at bay. We're just kind of in this holding pattern right now. And the reality of the fundamentals in the real estate market is that there's a housing shortage. That's not going away. Construction starts are way down. Condominium projects are way down. So the shortage, once all the built up buyer demand kicks back in and the prices start edging up, watch out because the things are going to change. We're going to see a whole different side of the market for the next several years, and those shortages are going to continue to grow. So what's happening in our Remax Escarpment, Remax Niagara appointment center? In the past 30 days, we're seeing on average taking 9.3 showings to get a property sold. Again, reiterating a lot of the things that I've just been talking about. In normal winters, we look at 2021 to 2025. January home sales stayed remarkably consistent, even with all the snow we've been getting. And then come January 2026, with nearly 90 centimeters of snow, more than double a typical January, and we still have one more week to go at the time of this report. Sales had maintained momentum, even though the extreme weather were limiting access to some properties. Sales volumes 3 weeks into the month showed signs activity was simply delayed. There's lots of buyers. They're waiting to pounce on things, but it's got to be the right property. It's got to be the right price point. Got to be very strategic with your listings and your marketing these days. All right, so let's take a look at what's happening in our local markets. Specifically, we'll start with Burlington here. What's going on in Burlington? We got 447 active listings right now, up slightly from a week ago. 71 sales in the past 30 days, which is actually pretty significant increase. And actually, the months of supply of inventory has dropped from 7.5 months down to 6.3. So that's pretty remarkable. Still sitting in buyer's market territory in terms of the absorption rates, around 32%. Most of the actions happening in detached homes, semis, and townhomes. Very low activity on the condominium apartment side. Median days on market has actually increased slightly to 45 days based on the past, looking at the past 30 days of activity. Average days on market is 59. In the Hamilton area, we've got just under 1,600 listings right now, which is up slightly. 255 sales in the past 30 days, which is also up. So inventory has actually declined in Hamilton. We were at 7.3 months of supply. Now we're down to 6.3 months. So we've eaten up a month of supply there. The absorption rates are still sitting in buyer's market territory in Hamilton, sitting around 37%. And the majority of the action is in the detached homes, followed second by the row houses, townhouses, things like that. Condominium apartments still not doing great. Median days on market sitting around 47 days and the average at 54 days on market. In the Oakville area, we've got 239 active listings, up slightly as well. 23 sales in the past 30 days and 10 months of supply in Oakville. So the supply has actually gone up. And I'm seeing that this absorption rate, 18.8%. So very, very low right now. It's extreme buyer's market right now in Oakville. Things can change quickly, but right now, I mean, opportunities are amazing for people. Buyers looking to upgrade, buyers looking to get into the market. Median days on market sitting at 25 for successful trades, average 34. But if we look at, cumulative days on market, where there are cancels and relists and things like that, the average sitting around 105 days, so quite a bit higher. That's all I got for you today. If you have any questions, please reach out, DM me. Love to hear from my fans, and we'll see you next week.